Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with Rethink Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, episode number 94. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at Rethink Coaching. And as always, I want to take a moment and thank you for sharing your time with me. Time truly is our most valuable asset, and the fact that you're willing to share your time and invest in yourself with me truly does mean a great deal. So welcome. Today, I want to have a conversation about did you or didn't you? And I find this to be an interesting question to ask specifically around this time. So before you decide, after I say the next sentence, if you want to listen or not, I'm going to invite you to continue to listen. And the question is, did you or did you not meet your goal as we approach our mid-year? You know, mid-year is here. We're at the mid-year point of 2025. I don't know if you're like me, there was a moment where it felt like 2025 was going to go pretty slow. In fact, I joked around and said, it's January 73rd today. Yet it seems like once January got over, we're off and running. And here we are, end of June, and it really is time to do a check-in. And I want to invite you to think about it differently than maybe you've ever thought about doing a mid-year check-in. So much like I encourage you all to do, I have a coach as well. And we just went through this exercise, and I found it to be really enlightening to spend some time reflecting on mid-year through a different lens. Most of the time, we spend our reviews by looking at what we didn't do and everything we did wrong, and we spend so much time in that space of didn't. And I want us to turn that around and take a different look at it. So I'm going to talk about 7 talking points around mid-year, whether it's for your business or maybe you set a health goal for yourself or maybe it's a life goal. Whatever it is, here we are, middle of 2025. And we have a choice to make as to what we're going to do with the remainder of the year. So number 1, I want you to think about your mid-year check-in or the midpoint of this year, that it's not just a time check-in. It's a powerful pivot opportunity. All right. So for a lot of us, we're on pace. We're trending toward goal. For some of us, we're a little behind. And it won't take much to course correct. And for others, we're significantly off our path and significantly have a gap between our reality and what our goal was. Regardless of what it is, on track or ahead, a little behind or a lot behind, this is an opportunity for you to pivot. Whether we pivot to change the goal to do more. So if you're on pace or you maybe even a little ahead of the goal that you set for yourself, what if we pivoted? What if we increased the goal? It's possible. If you're on track or ahead, we absolutely could raise the goal. Here's what I know, and this is where a pivot for someone who's on track or ahead is really important. Our brains, when we get to about 85 to 90% of goal, flips into this mode of, hey, I got this. All is good. And we tend to oversell ourselves, and you're at greatest risk of falling behind goal when you're in that window. So I would invite you to think about either if you're on or ahead or just slightly behind, it's really an opportunity to increase the goal. It will serve you well. That would be your pivot. If you're significantly behind, this is the time for us to do some course correction and to have a truthful conversation with yourself. Number 1, just really looking at what you did well. And we're going to talk about that. So really the key question to ask yourself right now about mid-year is, are you reacting to the year or are you intentionally directing it? And that's a really important question for us because I've seen it happen over and over and over where we've set this goal, especially if we've been in our business for a while and we have a good reputation and a solid database, that business is coming to us because of the stellar level of customer service or the connection we've been able to make with our previous clients. not necessarily from the action that you're taking. And that is a false sense of security. So the question to really ask yourself is, are you just reacting to the business that's finding you, or are you intentionally directing it? For those of you that are behind goal, are we reacting or are we directing? Have we given up on the plan we wrote, or are we paying attention? Really important to ask yourself that question. Number two, and this is where I want you to look at things a little bit differently. I don't care if you have a significant gap between where you are and where you thought you'd be, or if you're that person on goal. We really need to take a moment, because we tend to not do this often enough, and celebrate the wins, even the small ones. I don't care who you are or what's happened in your world. If you're behind in goal, there is something you could celebrate. There are wins that are happening that you may not be paying attention to because you're consumed with how far behind you are in goal. Even for those of us that are on goal or a little bit ahead, we may be so focused and I don't want to say obsessed, but pretty connected to that goal that we may not be pausing to celebrate the win. And you're at risk for burnout if you don't take a moment to do that. So celebrate the wins, even if they're small. So again, if you're a little bit behind goal or a lot behind goal, there's a win to be had. Sometimes it's just that you showed up. Sometimes the win is that you haven't given up. Sometimes the win is that you're working so hard on your mindset and your actions that within itself is going to carry you and give you some lift and get you to the next phase. The third thing to accept and own is that potentially redirection is not failure, it's wisdom. There's power in admitting and owning that something didn't work. The question is, are you failing forward or just going to stand still and ignore the fact that it's not working for you? So, I always say in failure, there's great lessons. So I would start number one with that. But I would also take a moment and show yourself some grace in acknowledging the fact that we wrote a business plan in fourth quarter of previous year, so in 2024, as to what we thought 2025 was going to look like, not knowing the circumstances that were going to appear in this year. The goal we wrote compared to the circumstances may be completely different. And the actions, more importantly, that we constructed that would get us to goal may not be the actions we necessarily need to take right now based upon market conditions or things that are happening around us. I am a big believer that we focus on what we can control and not the external circumstances. Yet I'm also a big believer in the fact that we have to sometimes take a step back, show ourselves that grace of, hey, I wrote this plan based on a lot of projections. And what I was projecting to be for this year is not what it is. So I've got a choice to make. We're mid-year, right? We can pivot. We're mid-year. I'm going to reassess now, knowing what I know, and look at the strategies that I have in place to see if I need to tweak them or if I need to delete them and replace them. I think we're far enough into the year that if a strategy isn't working, we're not within the first 90 days, that may not be your strategy. And you may have to delete it and come up with a new strategy. So redirection, refocus, it's not failure. It's not. Take the lessons from it, but most importantly, pick up the pen and rewrite the strategy so that we can have a great second half of the year and get to goal or significantly closer to goal, versus if we just would keep doing what's not working and hoping that it will one day. Take control. Redirect what you're doing. Super important to have that moment. And just think about it. You didn't fail. We're just refining. We didn't fail. We're refining. The strategy we thought would work didn't. It's not failure. It's part of life, part of business. Redirect. Number 4 is the power of strategic pauses. And I think this is one of my favorite discussion points with you today, is the power of the pause. As a high performer, and I coach a lot of high performing entrepreneurs, we don't just push harder. we pause smarter. I want you to hear that again. We don't just push harder, we pause smarter. This mid-year moment is a time for a recalibration, your mental recalibration. This will give you the space to assess, right? Are your goals still aligned with who you've become over the last 6 months? That I think is equally as important as to, are you on track for the goal? But really, who have you become? Over this last 6 months, we may take and need to take a moment to pause. I think I've shared with you one of my mentors early on when I was heavily involved in coaching with another company, really taught me the power of the pause. Even if things are going great, the power of the pause. And she encouraged us to do that on a daily basis, where we built in just some thinking time, just some downtime, a pause in the day to get out of working in our business to working on it. And part of working on it was ourselves, our mindset, our spirit, our beliefs. In addition to taking that step back and assessing what we're doing and the results we're getting and what we need to do differently or to do more of. I think that's really one of the most important things about the power of a strategic pause. Think about it. If we'd been practicing the pause since January 1st, and we're somebody who is a bit or a lot behind goal, just that one small action of the strategic pause could have been all that it needed to get us back on track, because we're taking a pause to work on the business versus in. And the difference is when, as an entrepreneur, we do a lot. We wear a lot of hats and we do a lot of things throughout the day. And sometimes we get so caught up in what we need to do in it, meaning I've got to do my lead gen, I've got to do my lead follow-up, marketing, social media, follow-up, client event, whatever it is, appointments, negotiations, all of that stuff is working in the business. Instead, we're so consumed with that because it makes us feel like we're moving forward, that if we took a strategic pause, we may realize that we're not performing in our power zone or using our time in a way that it will benefit us, or the actions or the activities or our mindset, whatever it is. So that power of the strategic pause is critical. It's probably one of my favorite things to do. And to this day, if you look at my calendar, every single day, I have time built in for a pause. I have time built in to reflect on what's going on in my life and in my business. I attribute that one thing to what has allowed me to stay on track with my goals consistently. I'm not saying I don't fall behind occasionally, but I will tell you that one thing has helped me tremendously. This year, in February, I adjusted my goals, not down. I added a massive project that wasn't in my original business plan. But because I was doing these strategic pauses, I felt really comfortable with the decision to add this project. And this project is not like an hour a week kind of deal. This project is taking me 10 to 15 extra hours a week. Did I have to become strategic about how I was going to handle it? Yes. If I just would have committed to it and jumped in and started being the in part of the business, I would have missed some key opportunities for balance and things that I was able to leverage off that allowed me to add this project and still honor the business plan and strategies that I set for myself in Q4 of last year. The strategic pause is the thing that can make the biggest difference in your path to success, or getting so consumed you're not seeing your blind spots. So pay attention and do it. The number 5 thing that I want to talk about is from drift to direction. Really, that means reclaiming your intentionality. This goes along with the working in your business versus working on. There's a lot of times that we can be drifting because we allow ourselves to get caught up in the busy work. We allow ourselves to get caught up in the reacting more than the planning or the strategizing, doing those strategic actions. So this is really important. A lot of times your brain is really your friend, and a lot of times your brain is your foe. In this case, where we're drifting direction and we're not being intentional, your brain is seducing you into accepting what you're doing, those busy work moments, to pacify that part of your brain that knows you're not moving forward, that you're not doing the strategic actions that are going to get you to goal, but it allows you to think that you're busy, that you're doing something, and how important you are in these things that you're doing that are strictly busy work. And that's the truth, team. We all have done it. All you need to do in that moment is just realize that you've shifted your attention from the important activities to the busy work, and to reclaim and become intentional about shifting to the activities that you're committed to do that are the big actions that you might be avoiding because they're not sexy, they're not necessarily fun, they're a little bit harder. They might involve somebody telling you yes versus just a busy work checklist item. So pay attention that you're not drifting in your direction from powerful strategic actions to busy work. And this happens to all of us. Sometimes I'll find myself doing it. And I want to say this caveat to this drift direction and becoming intentional. Every once in a while, if you're in a really rough spot and you've had a lot of no's, as salespeople, as business leaders, we may have received a lot of no's. And every once in a while, we just need a win. I have had days where I have just allowed myself to do some checklist items so that I could regain my momentum of a win. Now, I didn't do it 5 days. I didn't do it 2 days. I didn't do it an entire day. I did it a portion of the day to calm my brain down and to allow myself to celebrate that I was actually getting some things done. And then I was able to become intentional again a little bit easier than if I would have just stayed in the challenging part of potentially not achieving a yes or a step forward toward my goal. Number 6 thing that we need to do here in this mid-year moment is identify your in base reflection, meaning who did you become? So much of the time we don't acknowledge that our goals have created us to show up as a different person. And what has become our identity. So instead of asking what you did or didn't achieve, really ask yourself, who did I become in the process? Maybe you became more disciplined. Maybe you became more self-aware. Maybe you became more resilient, or maybe you embraced denial. But really knowing who you've become is really important. I will say this with a lot of love and compassion that I know this year has been full of some challenges that we weren't necessarily forecasting when we wrote our business plans in 24. However, if we don't pay attention to who we've become, that can be what has derailed us from staying on track, on path to the goal. Did I become someone that has given up my belief that that goal is possible? Have I become someone who has surrendered to all of the noise that is happening in our world right now and allowed that noise to impact my skills? Allowed that noise to impact what I am deciding to do or not to do, or to make it have such profound meaning that we've created a story that based upon this, I will not ever be able to hit that goal. So I'm going to share with you, we're at a time, and I don't know if it's really any different or if it's just amplified. We're at a time of a lot of division in our country, especially so for those of you in the States and other parts of the world are at a place of division. And here's what I've noticed with the clients that I have the privilege of working with who have said, I don't care what's happening externally. I'm doing this. I'm selling homes. I am growing my business. I am selling my business. Whatever it is that they set out to do, they made the decision that nothing was going to interfere or distract them, that it was just circumstances, and that in all economies, in all markets, there's massive opportunity for win. For those clients who have committed to that, right? Who have decided this is who they were going to become. They were going to become that person that was going to show up. There might be things crumbling around them, yet they focus on the things that they can control. And those clients are having a great year. For those who have allowed the noise to enter and to create a story around their potential success, they're struggling a little bit more. And this is where you need a coach who, in addition to focusing on business strategies, will help you with some mindset and thought strategies, because it's only human to occasionally be impacted by the external circumstance and noise. But we ultimately get to choose who we want to be. And if we become someone that is not in alignment with our original goal, our whys, the why we are doing this, then you've got a choice to make as to how you're going to rewrite the story and move forward. This is the time to reflect on who you became and compare it to what you wanted to be and marry those two things. And if you've become that person that has taken your foot off the gas, that has succumbed to the external circumstances, this is your time to change it. You may not even realize, though, on the other hand, who you ended up becoming because the circumstances made you a better entrepreneur, made you a better salesperson, made you a better magnet of positive energy to you because you took a stand for yourself. So I think it's important for us to number one, acknowledge who we became. Are we okay with that? Do we want to change it, or do we want to continue to enhance it? You've got the choice to make at this mid-year about how the rest of your year is going to pan out. And then the last thing is really reassessing or building your blueprint forward. Many of us just are in a place where we're going to keep doing what we committed to do because the strategies have been phenomenal and they're moving us along at a great clip. We may adjust our goals up a little bit just to not get complacent. Some of us, though, need to embrace the fact that the second half of the year is still unwritten. And if what you wrote to get you through the first 6 months is not what you need, it's okay to change it. Remember, we can go back to repositioning. Just really embrace the fact that you're not really just a passenger. You're not really just along for the ride. You're an architect. You get to build exactly what you're looking for. One of my favorite quotes by Oprah Winfrey is she talks about that we have the opportunity to co-create our lives with the universe. I believe I am co-creating my life with God. For me, that's my belief. And I believe that I've become in alignment with following that plan and having my plan being written around that. But I am co-creating what I want things to look like for myself, my business, my family, my life. And so this might be your time that we're going to activate the architect within to assess the plans that you have and to make any changes that you might need to make. Make sure that in this blueprint, you're addressing mindset. You're going back to your business values that we've talked about before. And if you need some help with that, I'm happy to help you out with that. And that you're focusing on clarity of purpose and presence. So many of us just look at the task and the strategy, and we fail to include in our plan actions that help our mindset, actions that are in alignment with our business values, that we're saying yes to things that are in alignment with our core business values and no to things that are not in alignment with it. It's one of the easiest things to do that can make the biggest difference. So take a step back and ask yourself, what are my core values as a business owner? Is it finances? Is it freedom? Is it fun? What is it? And get yourself clear on what those values are. And then that helps you with clarity of purpose and with clarity of your vision. Super, super important. This is such a great time for all of us, regardless of where you are on your journey. I do want to invite you to think a little bit differently and really spend some time right now celebrating all of the great things that have happened. Taking a moment and reflecting on that is really, really important. We have a tendency to just keep pushing and going through life because we've got this goal. And we may not acknowledge the hard work that we've done to move the needle towards that goal, regardless of where the needle is, far behind, a little behind, at or ahead. There's a lot of celebration that needs to happen, because if you don't, your brain's like, well, it doesn't matter what you do. You don't seem very happy. So I can either continue to push and be worn out, or I won't. Regardless, we're not taking a moment to celebrate. You have to train your brain that celebration is coming. You have to train your brain that there's going to be a great dopamine release because you've taken a moment to acknowledge your success, to acknowledge the wins, small or big, that you've had. I've said this in a previous podcast, and I truly mean this. I think what's really important as we're building this blueprint forward and we're looking at the 7 steps, that we create little wins. A little win followed with another little win, followed with another little win, creates a bigger win. And when you can stack those wins on top of each other, it's amazing. I'm not saying we're going to ignore what's not working. We need to spend more time acknowledging and celebrating what is working. So again, 7 things to reflect on at this amazing time for us right now is, number 1, midyear matters more than you think. It's not just a check-in time. It's a powerful place for a pivot, regardless of where you are on your path. Number 2, celebrate the wins. We talked about that, especially the small ones. They're equally as important. Accept, number 3, that redirection is not failure. It's wisdom. It is owning what has happened and redirecting your actions and strategies as you move forward. Number 4, the power of the pause, the power of the strategic pause. So like I do every day, you might build in an hour. You might start with 30 minutes, might start with 15. Don't know what works for you. Figure it out. Of thinking time where you can really just pay attention and act like a CEO of your business, because you are, and assess where you are and what you can be doing different, right? Versus being so focused about being in the business. So the power of strategic pause. Number 5, from drift to direction, reclaiming your intentionality. So taking control of what we're going to do as we move forward. Number 6, identify, who did I become? What parts of that do I love? Am I good with that person moving forward? And number 7, activate the architect within. Spend some time looking at your blueprint moving forward. Regardless of the position of the needle, there's an opportunity to revisit our blueprint. This is a fun time of year, team. If you're ignoring it or this conversation made you uncomfortable, chances are you're behind goal and you just haven't paid attention to the 7 things that I've shared with you. I'm always amazed at clients that have a large gap at midyear in what we can do with intention and a blueprint, pauses, focus, working on versus in what we can accomplish in 6 months. I've had so many clients get back on track and actually achieve or excel with the goal that they set. You're never, ever in a place that you can't achieve your goal. It's 100% up to you. This is a time that I would encourage you to hire a coach or an accountability partner. Happy to talk to you if you want to explore what that would look like. You can reach out to me at tony@rethinkcoaching.com. You can go to our website, rethinkcoaching.com. There's a information box you can fill out for a free strategy call. It's a 1-hour call with me. If you fill that box out, the email comes to me. I will get back to you. We'll schedule the call, and it is free. We can talk about this or anything else that might be of concern for you as we continue forward into the second half of 2025. Go make it a great week, team. Embrace the midyear. So much good stuff. Thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.